Hey everyone, welcome back. And in this episode, I want to create something actually useful. I know we've been doing this form, creating some components and all that is nice. I think the most useful part of this tutorial were these generic components that we created and just talking about how to implement the router and Vuex, but generally creating these profiles and displaying them as just general view knowledge and not actually something you probably are going to use in your project. But nonetheless, I wanted to go ahead and actually show you how to implement maybe something a little bit more useful. So we're going to be doing a global pop-up, and we're going to be doing that with the help of Vuex. All right. So let's go ahead and create a popup.js, and we're going to go ahead export default, and here we're going to have state mutations, getters, and actions. All right, so what do we need for our pop-up? So here we have the initial structure. Let me close this, and let me close all of this as well. I don't want to see that. So what will this pop-up have? So this pop-up will have a message. We'll start simple. This will just be a I'm just gonna set it to something. So I'm gonna say set message, state and message, and here I'm gonna say state message equals message. Cool. All right, and also I want to be able to clear message. So I'm gonna say state message. Boom. And getters, I want to be able to get the message, right? But in my getter, what I'm going to be doing is I'm essentially going to be saying, should the pop-up be displayed based on the message, right? So I'm going to say show message. And this is going to be the message length more than 0. So if it's more than 0, then it's going to be true. All right. So I'll leave that for now. Let's go into our components, not generic. We'll just create a component over here. I'm gonna call this popup.view. Okay, let me collapse this. I'm gonna scaffold this. I'm gonna go ahead and do, well, it's an import statement first, vuex. So I have a getter, so map getters, and I have mutations. So for now, I'm gonna do map mutations. So what I want is I want a name for this, and I will give this an awesome pop-up. All right. Next thing is I wanna do methods. Map mutations. I don't actually. Yeah, that's right. I do want this here because I will include a button to basically um, clear messages. All right. So and then I want computed properties, and in here I will go ahead and map my getters, and here I'm basically gonna say show message, and I'm gonna bind it to show. Okay. So let's go ahead and create a div. I'm gonna give this a. Actually, I don't think I'll need to give it a class of div. I am gonna, however, create 2 more divs in here. I will actually need map state as well. I will probably need to bring in namespaces. I'm gonna worry about that later. Boom, boom. I'm gonna say message state message. Let's actually worry about the state now. So let me copy this. It's gonna be in the pop-up namespace. I'm gonna go ahead into my store and I'm gonna import it. Popup, Popup, and Popup. Okay, there we go. So I have now imported the Popup thingy into my namespace here. And let me go ahead and close this store. I don't need to look at it anymore. I do, however, want to first, I'll basically say test here, right? So I always want to be showing this pop-up, and where I want to include this pop-up in my app.vue, so it's going to be absolutely positioned somewhere in this app, and I want to basically bring it up at the bottom here, right? Let's import our pop-up from will it give me my directory components pop-up, nice, and then I just want my components, oh, and I want to put the pop-up here, and now let's just put it up here, pop up, badabushka. Let me try put these into curly brackets. Okay, looks like it doesn't like the name here, so I'm gonna go ahead and revert to using just the pop-up name. Okay, let me go ahead and try to display the message here. And I haven't actually enabled the namespace here to true. Okay, nice. So here we see our test. Let's go ahead and style this. So lang stylus scoped. I'm gonna say class equals popup. So in here I will say dot popup. Background. Ooh, this is gonna be a tough one. Let's take a darker blue and somewhere here. Yeah, there we go. Look at that, beautiful. Let's save that. Give this a refresh so I can see it. Nice. Position. I want it absolute. Whoa. Okay. Now I want to give it some padding. So let's say 2 rem for now. That is not okay. 1. That is better. I will give it 2 rem on the sides. 1.5. That will do. Color, I will just stick with white. And display, I want to display flex, so I want to have the closing button on the end, and I want the text to be in the middle, and I want to basically like separate them. Alright, so display is flex, and the flex direction is row. Okay, there we go. And let's have a link here. And I will say close. And I can actually color this. Let me refresh this. Color didn't change, unfortunately. And there it is. Okay, so I didn't miss this out. Alright, so we got the color white. I will say I will have, oh, I want color to be blue RGB, so 555. That's too blue. Let me just this somewhere where I can see it. Okay, like information blue. That will do. Font. Wait, I want bold. Okay, and let's just uppercase this. All right, and I will say hover cursor pointer. Okay, and I will just do text decoration underline. Okay, looks all rightish to me. Let's go ahead and give this a. Should we give this a minimum width? Don't think so. That will be all right. I will say div. Should it be first child, or I'll just say margin. Let me grab this 5 from here, and I will just add 5 rem here as the margin between the two. Okay, nice. Now let's position this. So bottom 100 pixels, 100. Let's do 50. And what is it? Left. Let's do 50 pixels here as well. That's a little bit too much. 20. Okay. 30 pixels here. Maybe 20 as well. Yeah, looks good. Okay, and this is, I want it to be here when it's active, so, or rather when it's hidden. Let's go ahead and transform, translate Y. I'll just do minus 100 px. I hope that won't go down hidden. And okay, yeah, that did went up, wrong direction. Okay, nice. Transition. I'll put it here. Transition is in 150 ms. Okay, I think this should be good for styling. Oh, look at that. If I had it hidden, should be a little bit faster in my opinion. Okay, nice. So what we're gonna do is we want to bind class, and we want to basically say hidden, and we want to derive it from show. So if we're not showing it, we're hiding it. Okay, so let's refresh. Let's try to, where did I close my Popup JS? Nice. Let's try to do this. Okay. Let me actually implement this close. So on click, I will go ahead and clear. Okay, and close. Nice. So you did see it removed the message there and closed it. So I don't think I wanted to remove the message like that per se. It's gonna look a little bit ugly. I just wanted to close it. So let's actually, we're gonna say display false, and we're gonna go ahead and change this getter to mapping state. Let's actually just comment this out for now. Hopefully we won't need it later on. Show message, I'm gonna change this, and what we're looking for is state.display. And don't forget the comma here. Okay, so let's try display true. We're gonna start with true. Close this. And clear message. Okay, so I'll go with hide message instead. I'm gonna say display equals false, and here I'm gonna say state.display equals true. So whenever I set the message, I want it to pop up, but whenever I hide the message, I want it to hide. So I'm gonna say here, and I'm gonna change this to hide. So when I close, there it goes, babish. Okay, so I have this test message here, and now I want some kind of use case to basically test it. Okay, so I think the easiest path to test it would be to select one of these profiles and basically say that which profile I selected. Okay, so let's go ahead into my app.vue, and here where I have the navigation guard here, I can actually use the what's it called, the watcher in my profile. So let's go ahead into here, and let's say watch. Whoa, not in here. So watch, and I will watch my profile. I want it to be immediate, and handler value. This will be the profile. Yeah. So let me call it profile. And in here I want to basically set message, so I can bring in my map mutations, and I can do methods here, and let me just map mutations. I'll bring in my namespace of Popup, and I will grab the set message. Okay, set message, and I will do, what should I set it to? Set Popup. Yeah, I'll call it that. Seems reasonable. And whoop, what's this? Set Popup. So this dot profile, set Popup. So I'm gonna pass in profile, first name, and let's just say selected profile pop. I'm gonna skip on the fancy syntax, so let's refresh this. Whoa, and there we go. We can see the pop-up updating. Now, one thing is that I don't have this closing mechanism for over time, right? So let's say 3 seconds passed and I want it to close, or basically if I select a new pop-up, I wanted the previous one to go down and the new one to pop up. All right, let's create an action, and what should we name it? So here we're setting the message. So here we should say display pop-up, and I will need the commit, and I will need the message. So here I can do something like commit, let's set message here, and I will pass in the message, and below here I can set a timeout, and if I pass in a function, and after 3 seconds I want to basically commit Sudoku, I'm joking, hide message, like so. All right, so let's try to call this display pop-up. So on profile here, instead of map mutations, I'm gonna change this to map actions. There we go. And let me set this to display pop-up, and let's see if it hides. And it does. Let's select a new one. Nice. After 3 seconds, it hides. But if we swap constantly, it will basically not, it's not hiding and showing kind of thing. It's just changing the text, which is not really what you want. We need to handle that. So let me go ahead and introduce a timeout here, and I am gonna go ahead and set timeout, state timeout, and I also want clear timeout. State timeout equals null, and then here let's just say state dot timeout equals timeout. All right, so let's give this a little think. So what we want is we want to take this timeout and we want to commit set timeout. And here I'm gonna set my timeout. Okay, but before I set my message, I want if there is a timeout already. So what I can do is I can destructure getters, maybe rather state, where I will basically check if timeout doesn't equal null. That means there's basically something waiting to be timed out, right? So there's a message waiting to be cleared. So at this point, I want to clear this timeout. So clear timeout. And the next thing I want to do is I then want to hide the message. So we clear the timeout, we hide the message. So that will be hidden. And then let's say, because it's 100 milliseconds for it to hide, I then want to wait 100 milliseconds and display a new message, right? So then else I will take it here. And here I will set a timeout, which will be after, let's say, for now I'll say 200. Spell function correctly first. Here I will say dispatch. I just noticed I forgot state the timeout. And here I want to dispatch display popup. And I want to say message here, and actually put these in curly brackets. All right, I'll clear the timeout. Then this will be null again. I will hide the message, and then after 200 milliseconds, I will call this pop-up again, and that should then hit this message which I'm passing here. It should set the timeout again, and it should commit it. So in theory, this should work. So let's give this a refresh. Profile selected. All right, let me select a new one, and there we go. We're kind of getting there. I can see console name of undefined. All right, so this is just some, let's say, if profile Doesn't equal undefined rate. Okay, cool. So I did notice a little glitch, I think. Let's increase this to 10 seconds. New one. 4, 5, 6. Alright, so my verdict is I think the timeout is not getting cleared correctly, so let me open up my state app, and here I'm going to inspect the state, and all I want to do is I want to basically see this timeout and what it's doing. Alright, and I'm just being silly with the clear timeout function. Obviously, I have not remembered my JavaScript correctly. Here, I want to go ahead and clear this timeout here, and state.timeout, I want to set it to null again here. And let me put all these semicolons. Let's go ahead and try this again. So I have this one, this one, this one. Let me click on it for like a few seconds, and now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Counted maybe a little bit too fast, but that looks alright to me. So now we have a appropriate. Let's try to change this to 100 milliseconds actually. See how that works out. Okay, so that looks alright. Let me change this back to 3 seconds as well. And there we have it. So we have we don't really need the getters here. We have the pop-up, and essentially anytime we want to call this pop-up, we can do it from anywhere within our app. We can go ahead anytime we do something. We can do stuff like in our homepage. Let's select this. So where we create the profile. So we would go into this profile. So what I'd like to do is, since this is this pop-up, it's an action, I'm gonna have to bring in my dispatch. And what I will need to do is I will need to dispatch pop-up, right? So I'll have to say the namespace. Otherwise, when I dispatch something, it's gonna look for it in this module. And then I'm dispatching to the display pop-up. I'm gonna dispatch a profile created message, and then I have to specify root true. Okay, so what root true basically says is that I am dispatching it from the root. So if you think of the store, and we are now inside the profiles, what root does is puts us back to the store, and then we're going pop up and display pop up. But if we would have specified for uh, dispatching from root, it would have just tried to look for a pop up module inside the profiles store. All right. And since since the pop up module is not inside the profiles, it's inside the root. We have to go inside the root. But if the pop up was inside profiles, then we don't need to specify it. I hope you get the picture. Okay. So dispatch from root, and we're going to go into pop-up, and we're going to bring up the action display pop-up. And what we're going to be dispatching is profile created. Okay. One thing is in my popup.js, I'm going to go ahead and remove this test as well. Let's go into my homepage here, and let's create pop-up test. I'm going to make a other 30. Pop-up test. Create profile, and there we go, and we can close it if we'd like. We can see selected Popup, and boom shanka. This works easy. All right, this will be it for this episode. Hopefully, this knowing how to make a pop-up like this is a little bit more entertaining than working with these profiles. And if you have actually made it this far in the tutorial, I congratulate you. It's no easy feat to sit through a tutorial like this, but as always, thanks for watching. Hopefully you found this useful. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, to share, turn on notifications. As always, it will help me a lot. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I love answering your questions. And as always, see you in the next episode.